Good evening, I'm Jeff Lyons. This is the 14 First Alert Weather Show at 9 o'clock here on Thursday, December the 4th. We have a shot at seeing some sunshine tomorrow. How about that? So let's get right into it. Of course, we've had yet another cloudy, kind of gloomy day out there, and it's going to stay mostly cloudy overnight. It looks like we may get enough dry air intruding in from the north that we will start to see some breaks in the clouds tomorrow afternoon. Temperatures will warm up slightly for Friday and Saturday. By slight, we mean near 40 if we're lucky. And then spotty rain and snow chances return Sunday and maybe Monday. We're looking at just rain showers or snow showers, no accumulation or impact. Driving problems expected out there. Right now, the broader view here on the satellite and radar showing some of those clouds starting to pull away. You can see the low-level stuff, though, is just hanging in there. The main cloud deck has moved out, and that cloud deck is going to make all the difference. North of us, Indianapolis, Chicago, Fort Wayne could set record lows tonight, while our low will drop down to around 20 degrees or so. The hour-by-hour does start with a bit of a clearing trend there in the afternoon before clouds return on Friday night, and then Saturday will be cloudy. Sunday cloudy with some rain moving in too. So that's kind of the roadmap here that we're following. 30 degrees out there now. We failed to reach freezing again today, only up to, I believe, 31. We'll get it here in a moment. We were down to 29 this morning, and well, actually we hit 32, so we were right at freezing. But now we will pull back the other way. Temperature basically flat with where it was last night at this time. And our low slightly colder than normal, but these highs have been running 15 to 20 degrees cooler than the normal for this time of the year. So it has been a very early onset of, kind of brutal winter weather, especially this early in the season. January, you don't notice it as much, but we're still kind of in that getting to know you phase with winter, and not a very good first impression here. And of course, winter doesn't start officially until the 20th, 21st here, so in a couple of weeks on the solstice. Snowfall, we've had 1.1 inches for the season. As I mentioned yesterday, at least we didn't get shut out, with no snow whatsoever. And I think Arden and I were checking the weather team's snow predictions today. I'm in for 7.5, so we will see how that one plays out. For your commute tomorrow, mainly cloudy in the morning, but we will start to clear things out during the afternoon, and it will be somewhat warmer, maybe not a noticeable, it's warmer kind of moment. All the rain in the southeast will continue to move away from us, so we really are not threatened by any active weather here for the next few days. Our next system to bring rain and snow in will dive in out of the Rockies over the weekend, and as that low gets into Missouri and northern Arkansas, it'll bring up some Gulf moisture, which will provide the basis for that rainfall potential on Sunday. Next 7 days, we actually see a mini warm up there, 48 on Wednesday, but that may come with some scattered rain too. The longer range GFS model has now suddenly decided, yes, rain snow system possible, but in this current run of the model, it has trended everything much farther north, which would keep us in the rain and the snow and so forth up over northern Indiana and Illinois. And kind of interesting, the European model, we look at both of these as a comparison. It will go through the GFS here first, and there's your rain and potential there on Wednesday. All right, and then maybe some snow later in the week, but we know how snow at 7 days tends to play out on the models. Just threw it in there to keep you awake here during the streaming show. All right, on the European model, we are showing that rain chance too. So what I make of this, at least as of today, in looking at the trends from both the GFS, which has been all over the place, and the European, which has been basically on this same idea of rain Sunday and the warmer temp. So I'm more confident that we will see some light rain and a little more cautious that we would see any meaningful snow. It may change over quickly as the cooler air wraps around the low. But the bottom line here, at least as of today, I'm not expecting any travel problems from snow over the weekend. And then the European also brings in rain by midweek next week. 21 degrees with a few flurries overnight, and then tomorrow's high up to 37 with some sun in the afternoon, but generally mostly cloudy. And then over the next 7 days, we have those fleeting upper 40s, a couple of them, well, only one actually Wednesday when we may have a little rain in here. And even the long-range models have kind of waffled a bit. We're still expecting cooler than normal overall and drier than normal too. All right, I have a 3-for-1 pet special for you tonight thanks to Cheyenne Hammonds. This is Hades, Crowley, and Athena. You're on your own to figure out who's who. I had trouble even finding 3 dogs in here. They all kind of melted into one big, lovable, furry lump there on the bed. So anyway, they have the idea for getting through the winter. That is not to look out the window. All right. Let me see here. We'll get your questions, comments in here. There we go. All right. Zach Seats is Evansville expected to get regular rain showers next week instead of thunderstorm most likely. Excuse me. And sorry about that. I looked at that very thing, and what I have noticed, you know what? Where am I? There I am. Did I hit a, I think I hit a button there and disappeared. I'm sorry about that. We had full frame of the doggies there. I don't know how long it's been like that, but anyway, what was the question? Oh, thunderstorms. Yes, I looked, and you know, with temperatures in the mid-40s, probably not. About the only way we would get thunder would be if we had elevated thunderstorms, and those are ones that ride up over the cooler air at the surface. So they're not surface-based storms, but rather they form off the surface, and you would get thunder and lightning. I don't think that's going to happen either. I think it's just going to rain because of the cooler temps and the way the front is oriented. But that's the best info I have right now. Cheyenne, you see your dogs there. They're probably watching the show right now. Jeff Miller wants sunshine. All right, well, we will add you to our growing list, our legion of sunshine fans out there. Let's talk a little bit about the polar vortex. And, you know, I've jokingly called some of these terms storm porn, right? They're just terms kind of designed to freak people out. Bomb cyclone's another one. Atmospheric river. They describe things which have always gone on. The polar vortex is essentially cold air that is holed up at the North Pole. And what happens is, from time to time, the jet stream, which normally would kind of hold that air back, think of it as kind of like a belt in a way, droops down due to differences below it there in the atmosphere, which would cause it to create a trough. Now that happens pretty often too, but if we get a really steep or major trough and it begins to plunge down, this whole thing kind of builds on itself, and the cold air being heavier and you know, moving toward the equator here bolts down, and we get these cold outbreaks, and that is usually due to a weakened jet stream, and the polar vortex then would send the cold air down. Now one thing that can sometimes happen when we get that is we can also have nor'easters. Now the two are not necessarily connected. But there are situations where a system will get strong enough out here, and I'll explain the nor'easter thing in a minute, that we would then draw down or basically kind of upset the apple cart, and colder air then would fill in behind it. A nor'easter or northeaster is so called because typically the low will track off the Atlantic Ocean and the winds come in from the northeast or the nor'east. And these can be particularly potent for the eastern seaboard. Lots of heavy snow, blizzard events, things like that. These lows can really deepen rapidly. And a bomb cyclone simply means that it drops at least 24 millibars in a 24-hour period. I know not a lot of you are out there with your barometers and that, but essentially just a very steep drop in pressure. And so you get a tremendous amount of wind with a system that does that. But the definition, at least agreed upon by meteorologists and climate and anybody that's connected to the atmosphere in a scientific way, it's just a nickname given to these rapidly deepening low pressure systems. There's no bomb involved or explosion or anything like that. Anyhow, in a nor'easter scenario, you would have this intense low pressure moving up the coast, a cold front, typically mixed precip. On either side of that warm front, you'd have rain in the warm sector, and maybe freezing rain or snow on the backside. And then over here, you would have that intrusion of very cold air. And they can really be nasty there on the East Coast. And winds 60, 70 miles an hour. This was actually intended to show what a polar vortex can do, because we have temperatures tonight, these are current temps by the way, that are falling. We already have single digits up north into Canada, where you'd expect them, even below zero. And that's a cold outbreak that may be the result of somewhat of a polar vortex event. All right, so that's what those things are. And I think that's all of our questions. Well, I guess our work here is done for now. I will see you on 14 News at 10. And in the meantime, try to stay warm. If you don't have 3 dogs, and like Cheyenne Hammonds does to keep you warm, then do your very best. Stay safe. I will see you on the News at 10.